In Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, in the Battle of Geonosis, Padme fell out of the gunship, and Anakin wanted to rescue her. However, Obi-Wan told him not to, and they stayed in the ship and went on to go fight Dooku together. However, what if Anakin actually listened to his instinct and jumped out of the ship to rescue Padme as soon as she fell? Now, before we get started, I just want to let you know that I prefer the original version of Star Wars over the Disney version. The Disney version is poorly written, full of plot holes, and it's just written by some social justice warrior crazy people. So we're just going to ignore it and just go with what would have happened within the original version of Star Wars. So let's get started. Padme falls out of the gunship. Anakin and Obi-Wan, like in the original timeline, are arguing about whether or not to save her, where Anakin says that he has to rescue her, and Obi-Wan says, but you'll be expelled from the Jedi Order. And Anakin says, well, if that's the Jedi way, then I am no Jedi. So he just jumps down to rescue Padme right then and there. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan goes to fight Dooku, and he loses just like he would have in the original continuity. However, this time, Anakin is not there to block Dooku from bringing down his lightsaber and slicing off Obi-Wan's head. Anakin arrives just as Obi-Wan's getting beheaded, and he just flies into a rage, and he reaches deep down into his emotions, and he lets out a powerful force choke that collapses one of Dooku's lungs. However, Dooku is just too skilled, and it was only a temporary rage boost for Anakin, so Dooku gets back on his feet, and he sends a powerful force lightning through Anakin. However, this time he doesn't just send one shockwave that knocks him down. He actually continuously is firing torrent after torrent of lightning at him, trying to torture him as revenge for what happened to his lung. He's basically torturing him similar to what the Emperor did to Luke in Episode 6. This is when Yoda arrives, and seeing a dead Obi-Wan and a tortured Anakin, this Yoda realizes that Dooku cannot be redeemed. So he flies at Dooku with full force, and he shows no mercy. There's no compliments. There's no fault, well, you have my apprentice. There's nothing of that. Yoda just flies at him and slices him in half. At the funeral of Obi-Wan, Palpatine tries to drop hints about how the dark side is stronger and can prevent people from dying. However, in this storyline, Anakin's not at all interested in any of it because he just lost his best friend at the hands of the Sith. So in this storyline, Anakin's not curious about the Sith whatsoever. In fact, he has a very strong animosity towards them because they just killed his best friend. So Anakin starts to think long and hard about Qui-Gon and what kind of advice Qui-Gon would have given in this situation. How Qui-Gon would think for himself and not just blindly follow orders. How Qui-Gon himself even stood up to the Jedi Council when they were wrong. And that is when, after having a good night to sleep on it, he goes to the Jedi Council with his decision. He says to the Jedi that they are too stoic, and that stoicism makes them weak. Because in reality, his emotions give him motivation to get stronger and protect his loved ones. And he also blames the Jedi for failing to protect his mother. Anakin scolds the Jedi Council for losing their way and for being too passive, too inactive. He says that both the Jedi and the Sith are too extreme, and he doesn't really identify as a Jedi anymore. So with that, Anakin formally resigns from the Jedi Order. He goes to Naboo and marries Padme like he would have done in the original timeline, and they set off to explore different parts of the galaxy because Anakin wants to go off on his own to increase his own knowledge to find out what he really wants to do in life without having some organization tell him what to do. And because Anakin is a skilled engineer and has great talent at pod racing, he has no problems paying the bills, despite the fact that he's no longer getting money from the Jedi Order. In fact, he's doing even better than Padme because he's such a good pod racer, inventor, and engineer. So money is not a problem for him. He's totally free to just go on his own and do what he wants. He goes to various planets, fighting against injustice, learning about ancient knowledge, and just making himself better and stronger. Some of these planets include Dantooine, Kashyyyk, Manon, and he even goes to Korriban to learn ancient knowledge and different secrets that'll help him be a better fighter. He doesn't give up on his fight for justice, however. Even though he may not be a Jedi, he still hates evil bastards, and he still rescues the downtrodden from the wicked, culminating in his ultimate victory of going back to his home planet of Tatooine, slicing Watto in half, and getting rid of the slave trade that had damaged his life as a child and cost his mother her life. Meanwhile, Palpatine has a sick feeling in his stomach. He's starting to feel his plot unravel, because without Count Dooku, and without the ability to turn Anakin to the dark side, he needs to act fast or the Sith grand plan is in shreds. So he does what he normally likes to do, and he finds another Jedi that is somewhat dissatisfied with the Order and recruits them to the dark side. Dooku's dead, Anakin can't be turned, so his only other option is some other powerful Jedi that has evil in their heart, and he found the perfect one to turn to the dark side, Sora Bulk. Sora Bulk was already proficient in the Juyo fighting style, which is a Sith fighting style that's very aggressive and acrobatic. He had already mastered it, he was very powerful, and all it took is some additional training to easily get him on Count Dooku level or above. Sora Bulk and Palpatine go on secret missions together where they start assassinating various members of the Jedi Council. The reason why Palpatine has to be more active in this timeline is because he can't count on being able to just turn Anakin to the dark side and have Darth Vader do the work for him. He decides to take action early. He and Sora Bulk go to start assassinating members of the Jedi Council. They kill Kit Fisto. They kill Agen Kolar. They also get Saesi Tiin. So this causes the Jedi Council naturally to start freaking out, and they hold a secret meeting to decide what to do, because they're just noticing that high-ranking members of the Jedi Council are just turning up dead with lightsaber wounds in their back, and they're obviously aware that with Dooku's death, there's still Sith out there. So they basically form an investigation to determine who's attacking them. They initially suspect that Anakin might be behind it, because after he left the Jedi Order, all of a sudden Jedi are getting killed left and right. However, they dismiss this because Yoda says that he doesn't sense any evil in Anakin, and so there's no reason to suspect him. So they start diligently checking if any other Jedi could have left the Order, and after running a list of suspicious absences, they realize they haven't heard from Sora Bulk in a while, so they start to investigate. They tell Quinlan Vos, who's an excellent detective, to go try to track down Sora Bulk. And because Quinlan Vos is an excellent tracker, he has no problems finding Sora Bulk and Palpatine and discovering their identities. Quinlan Vos retreats to go tell the Jedi Order what happened. However, Palpatine, sensing that he's been found out, decides to accelerate his plans, and he orders 66 early. This leads to the great showdown at the Jedi Temple, except in this storyline, Palpatine is leading the 501st Legion with Sora Bulk at his side and General Grievous on his other side. You might be wondering, how in the world is General Grievous here if he's an enemy of the Republic? Well, it's pretty simple. Palpatine's a master manipulator, and the Republic is pretty stupid. So all he has to do is rig a trial or somehow convince the Republic through propaganda that General Grievous was framed and that he's not really a bad guy, and there you go, he's let off and he can join the Empire. So as they storm the Jedi Temple, Mace Windu immediately engages Sora Bulk, full of fury because of all the Jedi that he has killed. However, Sora Bulk is an extreme challenge because he's actually been properly trained in how to fight in Form 6 by a Sith Lord, so he's actually severely challenging Mace Windu. This is by no means an easy fight. General Grievous engages the remaining Jedi Masters while Palpatine engages Yoda. However, this fight is going very badly for the Jedi, because in addition to having to fight 2 Sith and a cyborg, they also have a bunch of clones that are shooting at them and picking off their students. All of this disturbance causes Anakin to wake out of his sleep in a cold sweat. He tells Padme that he feels that his victory is not complete, that there's something else he must do. He just trusts his own instincts on this one. Because in this storyline, Anakin doesn't just let any Jedi Order or Sith Order tell him what to do. He thinks for himself. So he immediately goes to the Jedi Temple where he feels his instincts of telling him to go to investigate. When he gets there, he finds the corpse of Saul Bulk and that of Mace Windu. They both fought so hard and they managed to kill each other because they were exactly equal in skill. He stumbles on General Grievous, who has just killed several random Jedi Masters and is about to execute Shaak Ti when all of a sudden General Grievous's organs crumple and blood and brain matter shoots out of his eyes. Anakin had released a powerful Force Crush that has actually killed General Grievous by crushing all of his organ. He sees Yoda lying on the ground unconscious because Palpatine has just let out a powerful torrent of Force lightning. When Palpatine is about to execute Yoda, all of a sudden Palpatine flies back and hits his head on the wall. When he gets up, he's weak, he's exhausted, short of breath, and with trembling muscles. Because Anakin, in addition to using a Force push on him, had used the ancient ability Drain Life and was taking away his stamina, weakening him. Anakin ignites a white lightsaber, showing that he doesn't have allegiance to any order and that he just wants to stand up for what's right. And he engages Palpatine in a brutal battle where Palpatine taunts him. "Stupid boy, you lost your mother, and now you will lose your own life." However, mentioning the death of his loved ones, where Palpatine's making fun of the death of Shmi Skywalker and making fun of Obi-Wan's death, makes Anakin even angrier, and he dices the Emperor in pieces, leading to his death and peace in the galaxy. The Jedi, thankful, recruit Anakin to rejoin the Order, but he says no, he must live by his own principles. So he starts his own organization on the planet Dantooine, where he lives with his family, and they grow stronger and live happily ever after.